Comparing illusions in the fits, I do see signs that some of the old codes and framings are starting to break surrounding women and race on screen, but not all the way. Esther in Illusions is content with her role, singing behind the scenes, seeming satisfied with just the opportunity to participate at all. She easily feels included, especially by Mignon, and we don't get to hear much from her perspective. But Esther seems to accept or know her place or fate off screen, only imagining or pretending that it could be her body and her voice on the screen at once, like all the other white women that the industry adored. I also noticed that Esther's hair and style very much reflect what was desired of those women at the time, or what would please the male gaze. Women of color were only seen behind the scenes, let alone as in-depth characters with thoughts and complex emotions on screen, because mainstream cinema continued to release content that expressed the idea that there wasn't pleasure found in looking at women of color, at least in the eyes of the male. In contrast, we see Tawny struggle to feel inclusion within the dance team, and we see a lot of her emotions and frustrations throughout. I think what is different is that in Illusions, we don't see Esther working or training that extensively for her role as a voice in the production. There isn't much depth seen, but we see Tony experiencing frustrations, fear, fighting to learn routines, or training with her brother. There's more complexity. We see grit to her and drive, and that she has different aspects to her emotions and thoughts when it comes to assimilating to societal and group norms, rather than just accepting them. We see through her gaze, often admiring and looking up to the older girls on the team. Unlike Esther, we get to see Tawny looking up to girls that look like her, so I think it says something for an increased representation of women of color on screen, and a gaze that's slowly transforming to include women and cultural perspectives and attitudes that aren't just white. Before it was common to see black women on screen or in big productions, their stories weren't important. They were not the ideal of anyone's gaze, and their gaze or perspective did not matter. They had to work to be included, and they still do. So while The Fits represents a new age of progression in cinema that Illusions didn't, showing a young black girl with complex emotions striving to find community and to stand out amongst a group, it also still shows another ultimate fall into the conformity of the thoughts and actions she experienced around her.